And we're live, everybody. Thanks for coming to the third episode of the Book of Boba Fett Roundtable, brought to you by the Pod Once podcast and They Fly Now. I am your host, Luke, and representing They Fly Now is Hereth. And we've got some amazing people to talk about Chapter 3 of Book of Boba Fett. Let's start with the newbies first. Let's go with Stardust M. Where can we find your awesome content and kind of give us a little bit of background about you?
Hi, I'm Stardust M. You can find me on TikTok at Stardust M and on Twitter at _Stardust M. I make a lot of Rogue One content, mainly speculating wildly on Andor, even though we have literally no information on the show, and complaining every day that we don't get new updates on the show. And I'm also a solo enthusiast, which might be relevant for this podcast, or I hope it will be relevant for this show eventually. And yeah, that's kind of an overview. Also love the sequels. That's my favorite trilogy. So
there you go. There you go. We're branching out. Heck yeah. I actually thought I had a Darth Vader shirt on, and then I just realized that I got my Black Chrysanthemum shirt from Amazon already. Yeah. So this is actually the bounty from this last Tuesday, or was this Tuesday's get the bounty that Star Wars is doing. So yeah, I had to snag it because I'm a Wookiee. I love Wookiees. I mean, obviously everybody that's been on the podcast or knows me knows that my dog is named Chewbacca. So there you go.
Black Chrysanthemum, or as his project name was, Newbacca.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. And Nedra, tell us a little about yourself and where can we find you?
So I'm Nedra. I'm an Ahsoka Tano cosplayer, a film school dropout, an iOS developer, and someone who has a lot of thoughts about Star Wars. Yes. You can find me on TikTok at Nedra Loves Cosplay. And that's pretty much my name on all my socials, except for Twitter. They have like a character limit, so it's Nedra Loves Jedi.
Yeah, I felt super bad because I should have asked you before I put the thing on Twitter, because then I put like Twitterless Nedra, and then I texted you and you sent me it back. And I was like, oh man, I got to change that. So I added you to it afterwards.
I literally just started. Like, no worries.
I was like, oh man, she doesn't have a Twitter. And then I asked her and she sent it to me. I was like, oh no, now I feel like a jerk. But
yeah, I started it like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Let's go bump up her Twitter game. But it looks like we've got a really good lawyer who's been on multiple episodes of this podcast. Star Wars lawyer.
Hello, what have we here?
Oh, you classic.
Yeah, so I'm Star Wars lawyer, aka Kris. I make apparently content I make now is making fun of the founding fathers if they were in modern day. Because this is pretty much every video I've made in the past week is just saying like, oh, here's Thomas Jefferson discovering black people have rights. What? But I do make Star Wars content, lore edits that make you cry.
Yeah, stop making Lost Stars edits, please, for the love of God.
I only did it once, guys.
Yeah, and that was once too many.
And some cosplay, including some new ones that'll be coming this year. Yes. But obviously, I still have to work on the Saw Gerrera. I don't know how to make foam armor, so someone has to do that for me, which means I need money. But yeah, no. General Calrissian coming soon.
Nice.
Also, ring my imaginary bell sometimes, guys. That's what that is.
Luke, you're muted.
How about now? Is that better?
You're not muted.
Okay. So let's get started. Where does everybody want to start with first? Because I know there's a lot of heavy hitting stuff in this episode. I guess I'll just let you guys decide. How about that? We'll make it a whole round table. Well, it is a round table, so it's basically a discussion. But where do you go ahead and start? What you liked about the episode and take it away.
So who talks first?
Yeah,
I talk first.
I talk
Yeah.
first.
Let's
I'll-
go, Chris.
Don't give him
you're-
opening statements. Oh Lord.
Oh, okay, all right. My opening statement. Where's my briefcase? Okay, no. So I what I liked about this episode, I liked obviously the Black Chrysanthemum, Boba, and Boba's kids and Fennec fight. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to the Gamorreans. They're ride or die. Those thick boy representation. I think that the kids are the Saturday school lunch kids are getting a bad rap. I think they're fine. They just got there. We haven't even seen them for more than 5 minutes of screen time. Let them live. But I think it's interesting watching Boba in these different situations, going from the bounty hunter to now the ex-bounty hunter giving bounty hunter advice to being coming down in his Sunday robe post fight. I do wish this episode was just a little bit longer. Like, give me 5 more minutes of content, like that 43-minute mark. That's the sweet spot. But I think most of the legitimate controversy we can get to later, but the stupid controversy regarding the kids, I'm just like, and zippers. Apparently, we can't have this in Star Wars, like no zippers.
Even though Ahsoka literally wears it during the Clone Wars, but who cares?
And Luke in the original trilogy,
the blasphemy of wearing pants and having zippers. Come on.
How dare they?
As long as they don't have underwear.
I can accept space travel, but I draw the line at zippers.
Laser swords and force magic, but the zippers are the thing that destroys the canon.
Oh,
YKK who?
Oh my lord. Oh man. I think I don't know. No, but anybody else? What was your favorite? What was the vibe? What'd you like about the episode?
I also liked the biker gang. I thought they were fun. I think it's interesting. Their cybernetics, I think, are really cool. I think we haven't seen that as much if it's not like a necessary medical thing like Luke or Anakin. So I think it's cool. I guess we saw it in the High Republic with I can't remember her name, but the camera newswoman in The Rising Storm, and that really reminded me. The guy had the eye thing, and that reminded me of her. So I think that was really cool, and I think they're fun. I like that they look like a 50s biker gang, and they have these bright bikes that they ride around on. They're greasers. I think it's fun, and I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting dynamic to give Fennec and Boba these younger kids to sort of, I guess, mentor. And it's interesting in the context of they're both former bounty hunters, but now they're trying to do something different and they have to adjust to that. And I think especially adjust to the fact that they can't do it alone, whereas before they could operate as a lone bounty hunter, but now they have to work the politics of the planet and rely on other people to be their enforcers and be their protection. I thought the Black Chrysanthemum fight was really cool. I was excited to see him last week. I hope we see more of him or we continue to maybe see some different bounty hunters coming after them. If we could just kind of have a lineup of one after the other, I think that was cool from the comics. I think the fight was really cool. And
Dirge would be awesome. Yeah,
give me Dirge in live action.
I also love the Rancor. I think there's something so personal about Boba being a friend to animals. The bantha, the little crocodile dog, and now the Rancor. And I also really liked how there was this specific tie-in of like the Bad Batch with the Rancor and now Boba with the Rancor. I think that was really nice, and knowing that like knowing beyond just like the Bad Batch being, you know, clones of Jango, that him and Omega are actually siblings. I thought that was really nice, and I hope we get to. I'm really excited to see him ride it. I think that they're probably going to build up to it a little bit more, but I think it's going to be so cool when he finally gets up on that thing and just starts like taking out people.
Like a bantha.
Yeah,
Like a
bantha. That's how he's gonna train people riding Rancors. That's what he's gonna do after he's done with this whole charade. He's gonna just start his own Rancor riding business, and and it's gonna be Boba Fett's ranking training, like a bantha. Is gonna be like the title of it. But yeah,
we need like the picture at the end of Mando where they were both sitting on the throne. We need Fennec and Boba both riding the Rancor. I think.
Yes.
I see
so
like.
I feel. I'm sorry. Go.
No. Go ahead.
No, I feel crazy right now because I'm the only one. I feel like I'm the only one that's uncomfy with it. And like Danny Trejo's like delivery of the line, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back." Like it wasn't. It didn't sound like he was comforting the Rancor. It sounded like he was telling him like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back."
You're not the only one that got that vibe. I got it too.
Okay, good. Because I feel like I get it, the connection to like Bad Batch and how we got to see like Rancors in a different light and all that. But I kind of feel like, I don't know, I started the series thinking I understood where everything was going. And this whole series has been a masterclass in kind of subverting expectations. And so the fact that he, without really letting Boba know what was going on, made him the first human he implanted on, or they implanted on. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, I love the idea of him riding this Rancor because I think that's going to be like incredible and it's going to happen in my head. But the context is what matters. And I kind of feel like I'm not as comfy and excited about it as like a lot of other people are.
I think Danny is a little suspicious. I think
he's really good at that.
Think as much as I understand, like, if Boba was like, yeah, we're just gonna take in this Rancor as like a gift because like whatever you do, but like I don't understand their just like acceptance of like Danny. It's like, are you not? You just let that man into your palace and for these Hutts who were trying to kill you, like.
Although if Danny Trejo is in it and he is a bad guy, we know he's gonna die because he contractually obligated. No, this is serious. Like when he's doing like a kids thing or even something that like kids might see, and he's a villain, he has it contractually obligated that he dies, or at least he used to. So kids would know, like, if you're a bad guy, it doesn't pay off to do like crime or be a bad guy.
That probably sent a little bit of a conflicting message in this show, just with
because everybody's a bad guy.
But
that's been my favorite part. One of my favorite. So okay, to talk about the Power Rangers. So
Saturday morning to cartoons.
I high-key love them because of essentially what they represent, right? Like we've ended up having the same Star Wars color palette for 40 years. And we're kind of like reaching the threshold of what we can do in terms of like character looks and certain like, you know, Coruscant is the only time you really see really saturated colors and all that sort of stuff. So this was exciting in the sense that we got to bring that into the Star Wars universe. We got to see rich colors and all that. My only gripe with these kids is just they were too clean. That was the only thing. They could have muddied the colors a little bit. They could have, you know, done something because they're in the desert. Your white shirt is not going to stay white when you've got, you know, desert happening all around you.
Motorcycles.
Yeah, like what? I want to know, what are you guys coating your car in, and can I get some? Also, like I feel like this also taps into a really underexplored space in the Star Wars, at least like filmed universes, which is biohacking and utilizing the fact that we have droid technology, we have hyperspace travel, but like we don't have people like making body upgrades and doing cool stuff like that. So this is something that I know feels super out of universe, but that is really like it makes a lot of sense for it to be happening.
So the Grease vibes earlier. David says, I still think they should have gone all in and had the gang do Greaser Kids snapping. Just like, and then they go into like a 50s like montage musical.
So I think whoever cosplays them at Celebration, like if we find them, we need to just be like, okay, we need you guys to just start walking down the hallway, just.
That would throw everybody off, but like it's so good. And what was everybody's? I should have asked. What was everybody's thoughts on the first 2 episodes? Since you guys are new to the whole roundtable thing. I want your guys' thoughts on the whole series as a whole so far, not only just this episode as well. So I guess we can double back around, or Nedra, you can start. Or Hereth. Well, I haven't heard from Hereth. Sorry, Hereth.
Oh, no, I've been here this entire I was like, well, I mean, I might not have a roundtable since this is a Flano Pod 1's crossover, but I would agree with everyone else. I would say the Black Chrysanthemum part was probably my favorite. Then I would like the little lore piece about how Night Sisters used to ride Rancors in the battle. I thought that was a cool little lore piece. I was like, oh, I never knew that before. That's cool. But beyond that, yeah, I would say those are probably 2 of my favorite parts.
Nice. All right, Nedra, thoughts on the whole thing so far, and then we'll deep dive into this episode for sure after I get everybody else's answers.
I love it. It's compelled me to be working on like a YouTube video essay about it. And I'm going to have to split it into like 2 episodes per chunk because there is so much. This whole series so far has been a masterclass on a few levels. And I think episode 2 was a masterclass in leaving things in better condition than when you found it. And I don't necessarily just mean Boba's interaction with literally everything in the series. I also mean like Favreau's engagement with the series, where he's taking these beloved characters and locations and all this sort of stuff that like are kind of untouchable, you know, and actually giving them depth, and even things that don't appear in the series, like Anakin has been affected by some of the choices made by the show, like humanizing the Tuscans. It gives, especially with we're going to get into that, but like it really adds additional heft to Attack of the Clones and what we see in that. It's crazy. I just really think that like the people who are not engaging with the series in because there's not enough zap boom, they're missing out on some really rich storytelling, and I think Favreau put his ankles in it. This is like it's really good storytelling, and that's what I got from the first 2 chapters. I've been floored. Like I've been floored. Yeah, to the point where I've literally making like a super long essay about.
That's awesome. Kris, first one plus 2 episodes.
So I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. You know, the first one was getting us started, seeing the flashbacks. And at the first time we see him, Boba's not at peace. You know, he's struggling. He's more seeing them like nightmares. And then when we get to the second episode, and even in the third episode where we see him, he's more at peace. He's just resting, remembering these times. So I think that is sort of a when you're using the flashbacks as a narrative, like I think like Arrow, it delves into the present events, and we haven't seen where that convergence has happened yet, but I know it's coming and I'm very interested to see where it's going. So it has that sort of allure of, okay, I can't wait to see what happens next, not just to see how the story in and of itself progresses, but just that specific thing. What is it that happens, what he learns, what he goes through that connects to what he's doing right now? I've also enjoyed how it puts into perspective when we see him in The Mandalorian. And when we do see Boba at different points of his life, there are huge chunks of time that have passed. So with Clone Wars to when we see him in the comics during the original trilogy to then The Mandalorian, and now with Book of Boba Fett, we're seeing him right after the Return of the Jedi. So I think that being able to dive into this character who was fleshed out in Legends, to be sure, but not really to this like emotional level, has been, and I think they've done it pretty well.
Thank God we didn't get him connecting to the Sarlacc pit. He took hype, like he had some like bad weed and just fell back into the Sarlacc pit and was like, bro. It's like the Robot Chicken video that I posted. Like him and Weekway are sitting in the middle of the Sarlacc and they're playing a game, and the Sarlacc just starts talking to them. I'm just like, this is just not that. I thank God that part of Legends is not. Just keep it there. But what are your thoughts on the whole series so far?
I'm enjoying it so far. I was definitely one of those people where like I remember when Boba showed up in that episode, end of the episode 1 of The Mandalorian season 2. I was like, are you kidding? I was like, I don't care about this man at all. I feel that he is so overhyped, and I was like, I don't understand why he can't just be dead. And then we came around to the other episode he was in, and I was like, okay, wait, maybe I like him, and I have really appreciated the exploration and depth that this has given his character. And I think it's really cool to see, like, you know, you have Tamora Morrison, who is indigenous, and then we have all the stuff with the Tusken Raiders, even if I have a lot of complicated feelings that happened in episode 3, which I'm sure we'll get into. Oh, yeah. But I love the development and depth that the Tuskens have been given, because I feel like that's something that has really been lacking in Star Wars. I absolutely love the dynamic between Fennec and Boba Fett. I think that they have such great like chemistry together, and every scene that they are in together, I just like have a smile on my face, because I think that they're so great, and I think that I'm interested to see their dynamic continue to build, and I would love to see more of like maybe a little bit more of Fennec's backstory. I also love on that note that we get this idea that Boba was saved by the Tuskens, and they like kind of helped him and recover and heal, and that he did the same with Fennec. I think that's really beautiful and adds like an extra layer to their story and their friendship.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like that. You know what, Emily, being on a podcast with Char Char J and him being like the biggest Boba Fett stan, like, I feel like what you said there was perfect. Like why I don't care about Boba Fett. And then the show starts off like even with Mando season 2, I was like, okay, cool. He's a cool guy. And then at the end of season 2, I'm like, okay, so he killed Bib Fortuna, so he's gonna rule Tatooine. Sweet. So we're gonna get our own show. And then I was like, first episode, all right, I'm all in on Boba Fett. Like after that, I was like, okay, here we go. Like I was just with Char, like on the same level. I mean, he's still up there. Don't get me wrong. Him and Brooke are on a whole nother level. Beat Dazzler is on a whole nother level of just like simpage. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm with you there. Absolutely. Like the first 2 episodes were just they knocked it out of the park with the story they were trying to tell. And I definitely feel like they did a really good job of the way they were telling in that first 2 episodes. It didn't really. I know the gripes of it, like the first episode felt slow, but I didn't get that at all. Did anybody else?
No, you gotta build to something, you know.
Mhm.
It's like what Nedra said earlier, you know. It's not enough boom boom pew pew. That they threw one. It's like, okay, you need a plot for the people that complain that the sequels didn't have a plan and the plot is terrible. You can't complain when someone's taking the time to develop a plot in a TV show. It's not a movie where you're just getting the full thing in one go. It's an overarching plot.
Yeah, and I think what was really great too, like I think the first 2 episodes were a really great character study of Boba Fett. Like it was, there might not have been as much action, but there was so much development of him as a character, which I think is really important for a story and getting you to care about what happens in the story going forward.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would say the first 2 episodes, if you're a character-driven person, those are what get you. If you're a character person that's like, I want the characters to drive the story, not the story to drive the characters, then those first 2 episodes were like perfect. But Nedra, was it slow for you?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the thing about it was I started thinking about the fact that not a lot of the shows have a sort of prerequisite requirement to enjoy them. And I think that Book of Boba Fett, second to maybe Bad Batch, has the highest requirement of like knowledge. Like they're just saying you need to have at least an intermediate knowledge of Star Wars before you can even get into the show. Whereas like a lot of the others didn't have any of that going on. So and I love that they didn't do the backtrack and do the like watching Uncle Ben get killed type thing where you know, where it's like they just assumed you knew how he got in that Sarlacc pit, and here we're going to show you how he got out. We're going to assume you know what a bacta tank is, or at least what it's capable of. And I love that, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't. And I don't know, I like that this particular series engaged with the audience like they already know most stuff about Star Wars. Like it engaged with the audience in that first episode like a conversation about Star Wars among Star Wars fans.
Oh yeah, that's very well put right there. Like I just don't have the eloquent words to like put, like sometimes I just speak my mind and it just comes off as like being brash. I just don't have the eloquent like words saying like you or Camilla. Camilla's perfect at putting her words and just saying them just so well. So well done. Let's start off with this episode honestly right off the bat. Like, can we just talk about my man Black Chrysanthemum going at it? Because I feel like, I mean, coming out of that dream sequence, which I think we'll probably save that for the last because that's going to be the heaviest part of the episode, and the stuff that we probably will want to talk about the most. But like Black Chrysanthemum, like, did anybody else jump as much as I did when that happened? Because if you watch the reaction on TikTok, me and Hereth and Char, we are all sitting here and we're just like talking, and then all of a sudden Black Chrysanthemum comes up and we're like, oh,
I was like this.
Oh, yeah. What was everybody's take on like the fight as a whole, and then just Black Chrysanthemum coming into like being as badass as he is in the comics?
Have y'all seen Dexter?
A little bit.
Okay, so all I have is 2 words. Surprise, motherfucker. That was Black Chrysanthemum when he was just like, yeet. He came in and he was a force to be reckoned with. He took that gaffy stick like to the back, to the knee. He was fighting off the kids. He was fighting off getting electro stunts. He was like, I will show you, not to borrow Kylo Ren, he's like, I will show you the dark side.
No,
my
yeah,
fist.
No, for sure. Anybody else?
I was thrilled. I don't know anything about him as a character in anything other than this. But when I saw him, the noise that I let out, my God, I'm so glad that like I wasn't doing a live reaction because it was mad embarrassing. But I let out a squeal moan because one, the fit was cold. too. Like, he just had this energy. Like, I have 4 things on my to-do list today. Let's go. And I don't know. I love that about him. And on episode 3, his little jog away. Oh my God.
I'm off.
It was like the coach called him to the sideline. Just so that he's like,
Yes.
It was so funny to watch him run. I'm like, here's Black Chrysanthemum thinking to himself, he's letting me leave. Do I really want to leave? Like, he looks over and then he's like, yeah, I'm taking off. Just like, I was just like, oh, one of those like the old 70s when the people are running and the in the background's going with them, so it makes them look like they're running. That's what I felt like after watching that. But like, oh my, that's so funny that you mentioned that. That's so funny.
Probably thinking the whole time, how am I gonna get off this planet?
not even worried about.
They were my ride.
Is Fennec gonna shoot me?
I know. He jogged off like he knew exactly where he was gonna go. Like, he had a sneaky link somewhere that he was like, I'm glad I text them back because woo.
He's gonna be like,
Yo,
yo,
this credit scene, and it's just Kris Stanton wandering around the deserts of Tatooine. Like, where did I end up? Now?
Oh my God, I've made the worst decision here. I gotta go back.
Next time we see him, he's gonna be chilling in Garza Thwip's place. Just gonna be sipping on a space martini. No, he's gonna have a space martini. Or no. He's gonna have an apron that says "Kiss the Cookie." You know,
Kiss
Wookiee
the cookie.
just
Honestly, like, and to think about it, so Nedra, so a little bit backstory on Black Chrysanthemum. He actually shows up. Him and Boba Fett actually work together in the Darth Vader comics, because Vader tries to figure out who this Skywalker kid is. He doesn't know like who Luke is at this point, so it's taking in between 4 and 5. So he sends bounty hunters out, and Black Chrysanthemum and Boba Fett are trying to find Luke. Also, he also fights Obi-Wan at one point in the comics as well, which is amazing. And they did a really good job with detail on him in this show, because you do see the scar that he ends up getting from that Obi-Wan fight. So
yeah, my partner pointed that one out. I was like, okay, cool, but stop telling me stuff.
No, yeah.
I can't. I was like, I don't want to know. I want to learn this all piecemeal. Let me find it out.
No, yeah,
it's my Scorpio thing and find it out, like by investigating this.
No, he's an interesting Wookiee, and like I said, I love Wookiees. So that, oh my God, him just taking out everybody, like Kris said, like he's just like, oh, get off me, fly, get out of here, just starts punching people. I was like, I
we
lost.
hadn't gotten to that scene yet. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that. Do you?
I was really excited. The first time when he showed up in the episode 2, I forgot his name, so I was like, it's him. Like, he's here. Because I've read the Afra. It's the book adaptation of the audio adaptation, which is an adaptation of a comic run, and he's in that, and I thought he was really cool, and I really liked the friendship that he had with Afra. So I was also really excited that I was like, oh, if Kris Stanton is here, is there a possibility of us now getting live action Afra? Because I think that would be really cool, and I think seeing them together in live action would be really cool. I know she's a little bit of a bigger character, so they might have more plans for her that don't maybe line up with this show. But I think he's so cool, and his design is awesome. I like his little knuckle or his brass knuckle thing. Those were amazing. And yeah, I want him. I hope we see a little bit more of him, because I think it would be cool. Or if Boba's like, hey yo, you want a job?
just right
you
as
want to kill the mayor.
Yeah, just make Black Chrysanthemum. We just make Black Chrysanthemum campaign mayor for Mos Espa. Give the Wookiee his due. Like, he's been grinding for this for years. He's been fighting in the pits for years. Come on.
Nice, amazing. Once again, since the Book of Boba real theme is like late in life career change, we can have Black Kris Stanton have that moment. You know, he goes from feared bounty hunter to respected local politician.
Yes. Just hire us for his campaign. We can be like campaign runners.
He's going to end up on Master Chef's Star Wars edition.
In the next Bake Off.
Yeah, no, but I do think we are going to see Stanton again, because the reason why is like, even though like Stanton got kicked out of Wookiee culture, right? I still think there is still enough of that in him where he's like, he's going to recognize, okay, Boba spared my life. I'm going to help him out. So it may be next episode, maybe a few episodes down the line, but he, Boba's just going to be like fighting people. And all of a sudden it's going to, you're just going to see like this Wookiee bowcaster just start blasting fools from, and then you're just going to see Boba look at Black Kris Stanton, and he's just going to nod, and then Black Kris Stanton just runs off again.
You see him like get onto a ship in the distance.
And he just like salutes and it just flies off.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's got space heelys on this time. He's ready.
He borrowed it from the kids, made him a pair.
The kids should wear space heelys. That might be too Spy Kids, but it is Robert Rodriguez. So let's just go full Spy Kids, space heelys.
Well, no. They got to do. Y'all remember Batman and Robin, like when they clicked their heels and they had ice. They got to do that, but it's got to be like sand sleds so they can go across the dunes of Tatooine.
He's not skiing. He's sand skiing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's great. That is so funny. No, but like I feel like he's stolen the show in both episodes that he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to do much. He didn't have to do much to just like be intimidating or like just take the show, because it's like it's a Wookiee. You don't have to do anything if you're a Wookiee. You just automatically become like the thing that people stare at the most. Am I wrong on that?
And also, like they took it to the next level with him though, because he's not just a Wookiee. Like he's a Wookiee with like a Hot Topic card. Like he's the man's drip is just insane. Like why you got the spikes on, homie, on your shoulders? Nobody's getting up there. You're 7 feet tall. What are you doing?
But he's got a big chunk of the fandom going collectively. Oh.
I mean, I'm right there. There was nothing subtle about it. I was like, "Oh, hello, friend."
Important question is if you are a furry or a monster fucker. If you're into Black Kris Stanton,
I'm
listen,
he's in a nice, safe space that's somewhere above, below, and in between those both of those spaces.
He falls into that like Simba category.
Yeah, I don't need to put a label on it. Just like I didn't think too hard about how much I love the Gamorreans. Listen, it's just when you see good people, you see good people. And that's what I see. I see two fellas that I know have my back.
Nedra is definitely embodying Camilla's video, just like, I like them big.
Oh my god.
I like them chunky. Gamorreans are the thick boy representation we didn't think we were gonna get.
I appreciate the commitment of being like, we'll make this is a show where people are gonna be attractive. The Twi'leks, why have we gotten like the only hot male Twi'lek ever in this show? The rest of them look real,
like either old or just like
Buff.
The animated series. You just
big
like
things,
or just Bib. They're just serving Bib Fortuna.
Like what's his name? Like it's the really messed up looking one. It's like Breezy something, who's like Bib's cousin.
Oh,
he's
it's okay, Em. He can't hurt you.
Yeah.
I feel like he was funded by Big Bib, but to like make him look like, okay, no, Bib Fortuna's not that bad looking.
Did someone say Bib Fortuna? What's going on?
Timing.
Oh,
timing.
Char, well, hey, That was great comedic timing right there. Great,
I know. I was hauling my ass back from Iowa.
Yeah. But we were just talking about Chrysanthemum, and then we got into somehow we talked about the in between monster fuckers and furries with Chrysanthemum.
Yeah,
You got that topic without me? How dare you?
I mean, I cannot. I try to keep it on the reins, but it just all of a sudden just goes off. It happens every single time, and we just let it happen.
I know what you
It's
mean.
okay.
So episode 1 is one with the simping. Episode 2 we don't have a title for. Episode 3 is the one with the furries and monster fucking.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess we could say that, but
oh no! Now a lot more furries are going to show up to Star Wars Celebration.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
The time has come.
No, but yeah. That was funny. I'm sorry. That was perfect timing. Just bit Fortuna and then I Dragon Jar.
The Wanawanga. That's what I should have said. I should have said the
I just thought of
Wanawanga.
something. Putting some stank in that back to tank.
Nedra. Good thing we aren't for children. This would be we would be banned.
That just made me think of something, but I'm not gonna ask it. I'm not.
Hey. In the words of Cortana, shoot.
No. I'm not about to put that out into the internet as me having said it.
Chris is a lawyer. He has to think about these things.
Yeah. He's a master.
And your name, your name right after it for sure. In
no.
perpetuity.
No.
But like back to like the fight scene though. I love how they were able to, like not having like he was OP for a while in that fight, and then Fennec was like the one thing, so I did when I put the reaction out on TikTok, the first thing people were like, but how do you get in? Like, where was Fennec? Why was he fighting a bunch of children? I'm like, first of all, this guy's been a bounty hunter for how long? We don't really know how old he is. He's probably been to Jabba's palace like thousands of times. So like he probably knows. And let's not forget, Boba has like maybe 10 people. And if you're including droids, he's got 12 people in that whole palace. It's not like it was like Return of the Jedi where there were constant constant guards. Like, I just don't get that like you're making that excuse of like just let it, like it makes sense. Like Fennec was I'm pretty sure she said even in the episode that she was out getting information, right? Or did I miss that? Did anybody else catch that?
Yeah. Also, how did Luke get in? We just see him walk in, force choking some thick boys.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Does the little like eyeball thing still exist on Jabba's palace?
That was my
tattletale droid. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Does it? Oh,
I don't know.
Because if it was, it would recognize Black Chrysanthemum to be like, oh, it's you. All right, come in.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Chewbacca, you look a little darker.
Oh, it's you.
Chewbacca, you look oh my god. No, you should, Kris, you should.
That's gonna. If I made that a video, it's gonna end up on the wrong side of Star Wars TikTok, and I'm not dealing with
the wrong. Oh, I feel that.
Oh my god. No, but oh my goodness. And then I love how they were just like, hey, let's use the Rancor pit, like we had hinted at the beginning of the episode. And like I found it perfect that Fennec was the one to take out Chrysanthemum. I was like, let's be real, like Fennec and Boba were probably an equipped Boba. Let me just say that now, the equipped Boba. And also, can we talk about how he was walking normal after breaking his foot?
Okay, I wasn't the only one that saw that.
Oh, his
toe was just
like this, and I'm like, bro, you didn't get in the back to tank for 5 seconds to have your toe be perfect again.
Yeah, he probably did that himself.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, clearly y'all have never hurt yourself while drunk because it's real easy to like forget about it.
What?
Like,
And
in the morning he'll be struggling, but like in that moment he had all the adrenaline and everything
that's
going.
true.
He's walking normal.
No,
Wait.
Nedra, I'm the one that's usually taking care of the ones that have hurt themselves.
So you're the drunk Gamorrean. You're like a Gamorrean guard for drunk people.
Oh, goodness.
Luke, I have a
But-
question.
Yeah,
I see a comment in the chat saying, "Oh snap! Char won his lawsuit and is no longer fired." You have anything to say about that? Was I fired?
I don't. Apparently,
are you going to confess something?
No, my client will not answer that question.
Yeah, I plead this many.
Yeah, I plead this many, and you can talk to my lawyer. Thank you.
But no, I saw some people that were complaining in Star Wars Hypothesis server about that Boba was wearing a robe, and I'm like, we went through in the first episode showing how it took a droid to get him to get his armor on quickly, but even without that, even if it was just him, it's still gonna take him a minute to put on his armor. But if he wants to be there, if we didn't want to wait like 5 minutes, just have all the kids and Finnick just looking at each other for 5 minutes, he's just gonna come down in his robe, and that robe looks mad comfortable.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you think if Jabba wore clothes, he wasn't gonna wear a robe? Like, come on now.
Also, I want to say that also is because me over here, film school dropout, always going to see it from this perspective. This also illustrates the level of comfort he feels with the team that he's created, that he doesn't need to suit up. He knows they've got this. So he comes in his incredible black robe and knows that his team that he's assembled has the situation under control. I think that's beautiful.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if Jabba the Hutt did get a robe. I wonder where he goes to get that tailored. Because
that is a good question.
How would he tie that?
How big is it?
Like around like his chest? I don't know.
No, he's not tying it. That's what his people are for.
It
was probably Bib's first job when he first got there. He's like, "All right, tie this rope around me, and if you can manage it, the job is yours."
How do you think you got the name Bib? How do you think you got the name Bib?
Oh my god, that's hilarious. No, but what were your thoughts on that whole scenario?
I loved it. I thought, from the trailer, I was so excited to see Finnick and her tiny knife, and I got Finnick and her tiny knife, and it was wonderful. And I love to see. If there's one thing that I love, it's I love to see Finnick fighting other bounty hunters. It's something so special. It's so good. I love it. And yeah, I think it was cool. And I also think, like Nedra was saying, I think that's a really good point of showing his comfort level. I think especially with Finnick, he knows that she's not gonna let anyone mess with him. He knows that if there's someone in their palace who's not supposed to be there, she's gonna take care of them. And feed them to their imaginary rancor in their little pit. And I liked it too because I felt like it was a really good moment for showing how committed the biker gang was to Boba. That in a case that maybe if we were trying to show they weren't so loyal, we wouldn't have shown them so aggressively going after him or maybe backing off, but they were right on that man, even though he was 4 times their teeny bop size.
Oh God.
See,
yeah,
this show just it absolutely showcases to boomers how to how to handle millennials, younger millennials, and Gen Z. You take care of corrupt people that are hiking up prices for no reason. You give them food, you give them water, you give them a place to stay. There you go. Then they're gonna defend you even if you're a crime lord. See, you're good. There's the formula.
It's funny that you say that though, because Chaco on the stream, after the whole show was over, he goes, "Was I the only one that noticed that they did a parallel to Gen X or Gen whatever?
It was millennials.
Or baby, no, is that millennials to baby the baby boomers?" And the old guy was just upcharging, and the other the biker gang was not able to get jobs in the working area.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were specifically there to work. Like that's the area you find a job, and they can't find jobs. And I thought that was so interesting because it's like the parallel between real life and Star Wars. It's like a little scary sometimes.
I also want to
Yeah.
point out that like this whole series has been an allegory to chronic illness and disability in several ways, and then introducing these characters who are biohacking and deliberately I don't know if it was explicitly stated that they were deliberately like disabling themselves and then replacing themselves with droid parts, or if they already had afflictions that they were fixing with droid parts. And I'm interested in whether or not that's going to end up becoming relevant to Boba and making him less dependent on the bacta tank. That sounded way more relevant to what we were talking about in my head. But now it kind of sounds like a whole pivot. But
It's a great point.
And when you remember, like, Fennec also has the mechanical, like, part of her that, you know, she wouldn't have been able to survive without. And then, we're seeing Boba kind of constantly deal with, like, his injuries and having to sleep in a bacta tank all the time. And it's not just like, oh, put him in when he's injured. And then, I think they said they were deliberately taking, like, enhancing their body parts, which is interesting, to think about. Like, Boba has to do the bacta tank because he's injured and these people are choosing to enhance themselves in that way. And or like I know this is Hayes' favorite bounty hunter, Balance, like that he had injuries that he sustained that had forced him to get cybernetic parts. And I'd be interested to see if that's also kind of a connection, as if they are specifically introducing that to be like, this guy also has it.
Yeah, I had a similar thought to you, M. Because like when I think of at least like eyes and things like that, I think of him. But you know, I wonder if because we learned that information that they were enhancing themselves from the old man. We know he obviously has a bias, so that could be a rumor about these kids that he made up. That could be a rumor about these kids that they made up, so people wouldn't look down on them for being, you know, like disabled. But it's more like, oh, well, look at these kids just being, you know, I don't know, messing with what the natural order thinks or things like that. That's a different perception versus being looked down upon because you're differently abled. Like, so that could also be a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hereth, your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's making good points all around about like their analysis on like the droids. I really like you guys' like perception of like how like disabled, how it connects into that community, because like Fennec to the droid to them, I really like that. I know Chaco joked about how he's like, I'm going to predict that these characters are not going to show up, and then they did, and it was a hilarious thing in the watch along.
Yeah, that's right.
Who did he predict? I'm forgetting.
He didn't predict it. He said, I know for a fact this isn't going to happen. He said because those were characters in Legends.
Okay.
The biker gang there with the cybernetic parts.
No, but like the biker game definitely came in clutch.
Yeah, they
throughout
did.
This episode with Chrysanthemum, and then later on in the episode with the mayor's domo. But
did anybody else find it funny when after the kids caught him, Boba just lands 2 seconds later with his jetpack?
Yes.
It was just like, I knew you could do it. Good job, kid.
Yeah, good job. You done the old man proud. Thanks. Thanks, you done it.
People are saying that whole
is that a black or satin shirt?
Oh yeah, Char. Yeah, I got this.
When did you get that?
The bounty thing for Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This was it. It just released Tuesday, and I bought it on Tuesday and got it for Amazon. The first person I sent it to was Camilla. I was like, Camilla, go buy this because you need it, and I'm buying one too, so we can match. But anyway, like I was saying, the gang is like very, very useful throughout this episode. Nedra, I saw you put up a finger. You had something to say?
Oh, that was probably years ago, but also I do that a lot. I just start vibing. But all right, I do have contributions. That chase scene was amazing.
Yes.
It felt like a love letter to Star Wars fans who overwatch things and are too plugged into stuff. Like there was just so much that happened in it. But my favorite part and my magnum opus, I will never create anything better again in my head. But while we were watching it, when the Biths showed up, who were like in a little carriage with the droid, I'm like, oh no, they just move. And I'm like, move, Bith, get out the way. Get out the way, Bith, get out the way. And I said that in real time, and I will never do anything better. So have zero expectations for next week.
When people say the crash is weird, or not the crash, the chase is not weird, the chase is slow, I had to think about it, like put in the perspective of, okay, when we've seen vehicle chases, we've seen like the Millennium Falcon be chased by TIE fighters, we've seen, the Attack of the Clones chase scene where they're going across Coruscant. They're going across such wider area with such faster vehicles. Here they're in like essentially a marketplace town. So the vehicles that they're in are not going to go that fast in that area. The mayor's whipping boy is not going that fast because he probably isn't able to handle a vehicle of that speed. He's like, I got the basics down, hands at 10 and 2, like I got this. And the kids, you don't want to go that, and I mean they're on space Vespas. They're not going to go that fast, but they probably know the streets better than he does, so they're able to maneuver and get him to a part where he ends up crashing it, and that ends it. So I think when people are so used to in Star Wars such a fast-paced thing, and we got something that is more slowed down and not more intimate per se, but more paced, that they're just like, I don't like it.
Yeah. And I was going to bring up this after everyone was done talking about it, but I'm going to highlight David Xanatos' comment about the chase, saying it was like American Graffiti mixed with Back to the Future. That's actually the perfect way to just how I would describe this. Like, I even felt the Back to the Future vibe when like they crash into the Meilu runs, and they're like just like the Muir and like Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. Or and then like the chase is so like the cars is very much similar to George Lucas's first film, American Graffiti, because like the way it's shot, the way like it goes, like the whole chase just felt like a love letter to that era of filmmaking, like the 80s and 70s filmmaking.
Well, and also think about this: the Vespas, though, they look like classic cars. Like they have the popping yellow, the blue, the green. Like it was just like it was so nice to see that part of it.
The car that Homeboy was driving was like an old sort of Galaxy 500 type of 50s vehicle.
Yeah, so that's that. It's like it's just like the subtle things did a lot for me. And I mean, he ran into Meilu Rums, which is its first canon. It's its first live action. It's not the first canon mention, but it is in Rebels. So Rebels fans were just like, "Oh, it's Meilu Rums," and I was just like, "Yeah, it's Meilu Rums." I was like, but that wasn't what did it for me. Oh man, I wish we were still talking about this part because he didn't. Chase, if you don't follow Forward Into the Black on TikTok, he's awesome. He does great content. He has a very he's very critical of this scene.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't dislike it. I do agree. I agree. I thought it was a little bit slow. To be fair, when it comes to action Star Wars, I guess I don't know if I generally enjoy chase scenes as much. The only chase scene that I can really remember enjoying a lot is the Solo one at the beginning. And I think that was also, I was maybe a little disappointed that it didn't have the pace of that one, where like, even if it was kind of similar, where we're like going through the streets of Corellia, we're, running stuff over. But I thought it was a little slow. That might have been like kind of, I think, a directing thing. But I enjoyed it. Kind of. I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite action scene, and I liked the Meilu Ruse at the end. That was exciting. Yeah. I was like, but I think it could have been a little bit faster pace, and I think that also would have been better with some of the other action scenes that we'd gotten, because like thinking of like the train scene, the episode before, which kind of was also not the same, but like it is kind of like a chase. We have like several vehicles kind of chasing that like I felt was better paced.
See, I hadn't noticed that it was slow paced, and I think it's largely because of realizing this was kind of like an homage, and there's all these like little hat tip Easter egg moments. But like I realize if like you aren't looking for that, or if you're not thinking that that's something you're supposed to be looking for right now, where you're trying to just get to the next part of the story and you want to know what's going on, that it might seem like this is just shiny, colorful vehicles moving through dust and not getting dirty for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like Kris said, we're just more used to, like, especially when it comes to chase scenes, a little bit more fast paced. And I do understand like this is a more small scale one, but even I think for small scale, I would have appreciated a little bit stammering, and not even just for like getting to the next part of the story, but just I think for like at least like in like for me keeping engaged in what was happening on screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I get that.
And so how the chase scene ended. So I have to ask this question as someone that is not very capable of growing long hair. Even at the highest that I had in my afro wouldn't move like that. When she stops, I don't none of the kids' names. But when the newest white girl brunette on Star Wars,
her name is actually Drash. Drash.
Drash.
Oh, that's a terrible name. They did not.
Trashly, bro. It's Trashly.
They did not think it through. Drash is too close to trash. They did not think that through. But when she comes to a stop, her hair barely moves. Like, is she putting on 10 gallons of hairspray, or does it like? I don't like that. Would be like if my hair did that. If my hair did that would be fine.
Well, I know there's a product. There's a product because my girlfriend's mom used to be a Lovable, like one of those Chicago Bulls dancers back in the 1990s, and she put this hair product in.
Lots of questions.
And the hair would not move. It would
like
not
Space
move
Aquanet for sure, and it's like it's made of droid parts, droid tears.
Like we love
it has to be laughter.
We love the representation of finally a Star Wars girl with like a dual fucking hairstyle, because like, man, I only got my girl Jin Erso repping us with like the low bun, and even hers is like really hard to do if you're trying to get it really like tight and nice like hers. But I was like, finally, just like a girl, she's got her hair down. It's choppy. She cut this herself. This is the representation that I was looking for as a girl who can barely do her own hair.
See, I got that with Finn, because before it was Lando with like the long wavy hair, and then it was bald with Samuel L. Jackson. And no like 8-year-old kid, wants to be like, yeah, I want to look like Sam L. Jackson when like, no.
Wait, hold on. But at that point, Michael Jordan was still around, and he had his head shaved bald. You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of cool, wasn't it?
No, you
not every kid literally wanted to.
For you, like,
that's true.
See, Luke, there's a difference between wanting to be like Mike and looking like Mike.
Okay, that's true. Also, not everybody can pull that off.
80s Michael Jordan, like before, when he became bald, he became a champion. But before, like 80s Michael Jordan, he was dropping buckets.
Yeah, he had hair like you too. Like, he wasn't bald. Like back in the early 80s when he came in the league, he had hair like yours, Kris.
Yeah, it's great.
Buckets.
I'm pretty sure he dropped 63 with hair in the Garden.
What my last thought on the Mos Vespas, as we're calling them, the Mos Vespas, is I can't wait for the Green Ranger to come back and whoop all of them and like throw them off their Vespas, and then then he eventually joins the gang.
I can't.
Well, I know that there's a lot of people that didn't like the chasing, or not even just the chasing, but the bikes. They thought they were too clean. They looked like it was meant for like a Coruscant type of atmosphere. Because everyone was like, oh, you can't mix really vibrant and colorful bikes with sand planets, Yeah,
and maybe they were, and that's the point. Like, it's sort of like, I feel like there's a lot of franchises and also music genres suffer from the disease of stagnation. And I feel like that's often sort of fed by fan purism and like purity, whatever. And
you know what you're saying.
Sort of like insisting that like this is the way, gatekeeping and all this sort of stuff. And I think something that the Favreauverse has said very loud and clear is like, we're not going to do this. Like, we're not going to play these games. What we're going to do is we're going to try new stuff. Some stuff's going to work, some stuff's not going to work. But what we are going to do is we're going to push for it with color palettes. We're going to come to the realization that like we're talking about we're a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and yet we're dealing with the same like 40 human beings, like the same like 40-esque people all the time. And it's sort of like I understand that like they're sort of like pushing the bounds of what it is to be a Star Wars thing. Like, we've got kids with cybernetics now. We've got shiny Vespas. They could have dust repelling paint. That's a thing that could exist in the same universe where hyperspace travel is possible. Like,
I know what you're talking about. They're adding new things.
Mustn't be afraid to dream a bit bigger, darling.
Yes,
exactly.
The Inception quote. The Inception quote.
No, yeah, it's just it's like not putting yourself into a box.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is not a box. It's not something that can be contained. It's a whole lot of things. There's anything's possible, just like you said, Nedra. We have hyperspace. They can go to from planet to planet like that. Like why do we have to be putting real expectations on a show that is in, at the end of the day, it's fiction.
Yeah.
Like, it's not real.
I feel like that like comes from like, I would not say like older Star Wars fan, but like those O2 purists that are like, I like Star Wars when it was like the old car style of like rust buckets. Like, I feel like that mentality comes from that. And I feel like with the prequel trilogy, you got very much like the flash cars, and then the sequel trilogy went back to the rust buckets. So I feel like when you see those two mixed, people are like, oh my god, that was horrible. But like you were saying, it's like that's the point of that. It's you're supposed to see what these people are like from other planets coming to Tatooine. How does that mix? How does that mesh? And I feel like it does mesh really well.
Yeah. You know what those fans are? You know they're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little worlds. I'm not a schemer. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control the things really are.
This is the podcast where Kris shows his talents. He just shows, like, he tries to be on a show, and
is that Joker Grogu?
Joker Baby Yoda.
That is awesome.
Now, listen here. That is a very impressive Grogu.
I got one of those ginormous, like, I have that ginormous Grogu pillow. That's like yay big, and it's huge. I'll go grab it. Hold on.
Now you need to get the Joker Grogu pillow. If it exists, make it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate too. I like how, because what I've liked most about these non-Skywalker saga Star Wars projects is how much they play with tone and style and give each thing its own distinct feel. And I think that's like part of what the Vespa bike gang is doing, is it's giving Boba Fett its own distinct feel from The Mandalorian, from Rogue One, from Solo, from the Skywalker saga. And then I think it'll definitely give it its own feel from like Obi-Wan. I imagine when it comes out, is like that show is going to have a very different feel than Boba Fett, despite taking place on the same planet. So I think it's cool. I think it's fun. Like Nedra said, I think it's fun to experiment with Star Wars, to get out of the box and to push like what people expect. I also think it like would kind of make sense, because if we're thinking this is the New Republic era, and I think from Bloodlines it seems like they were really trying to like bring planets together and into like the Republic and increase trade and communication. So like, yeah, it's totally reasonable that like that was a shipment from another planet where like that would maybe fit in better, and these kids thought they were cool, so they're using them now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. I never thought about the connection to Bloodline, because I just started reading that earlier this week for preparation for They Fly Now. So yeah, I never thought about it that way. That's actually really good depth analysis for what's going on in canon.
No, yeah, absolutely. Next part we'll talk about it. Well, we're gonna get to now is let's talk about the twins a little bit.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the Tuscan stuff. The twins. So obviously we get the whole thing with Black Chrysanthemum running off. But like the conversation between the twins and Boba Fett, like it hints and it stinks of Crimson Dawn. Just stinks of Crimson Dawn.
Wait,
which is a
Luke,
good thing.
Luke, let me stop you there. So I have a question. Like I was thinking about this on my way back from Iowa. So why would the twins send Chrysanthemum to kill Boba, and then the twins just immediately want to leave Tatooine?
Because they don't want to deal with Crimson Rain. I mean, Crimson
Well, then
Dawn.
why would they have to? Why would they want to kill Boba then?
Because it wasn't as easy as they thought it would be.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They thought Boba would just go down without a fight.
No,
I
yeah.
was like, what's the point? What's the
absolutely.
point of killing the daimyo and then like there's a bigger threat?
Also,
We
maybe
leave
they
it.
didn't realize what the threat was at the time. Like
Mhm.
initially, probably sent them to kill them, and they were like, "Oh, wait, this is like a real thing. We should be afraid of." Okay, bye. Also, they seem lazy. So, like you said, like it wasn't as easy as they thought it was, and so it's like not worth it. Also, it's not even worth it to get this guy on our little carriage or whatever. You know, like,
Yeah.
Because
like you can jog. You know some
Yeah.
people. You got some friends around here. We're gonna get out of here. You
You've
can.
been fighting in the gladiator pits
I'm
your
kind of
entire
curious
life. You
what
don't
the
need
name
it.
of the new Rancor is going to be.
Oh,
Watch it be like
That's a
Craig.
good
Django.
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 Oh,
No, watch it be like
Omega.
watch it be like Craig.
Greg.
Right?
No, Dan
Craig the
Smith,
Rancor.
BYU.
Dan Smith, BYU.
So-
And that was the. Oh yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, Char.
Yeah,
Oh,
Char.
no, I was
this
just-
is your show.
Yeah, take
Well,
over.
It's mutually beneficial, I guess. But,
No, go ahead, Char.
yeah, I was going to be replaced, but it doesn't matter. But this show showed like Rancors could be cute. Like I know we got that from Moochie, but in live action, we see that Rancors could be cute. Like I thought the one that Boba got from Danny Trejo was pretty cute. Like it's cute in the sense like a bulldog cute, where it's like it's like an ugly cute, you know,
Uh-huh.
where it's like
It'd
it's
be cuter
adorable, but it's
without-
also like very clunky at the same time.
It'd be cuter without Danny Trejo because I'm worried. It's like if it didn't, like if it didn't come with Danny Trejo, I'd be like, "Ah, cute baby." But I'm like, Danny, what you doing?
I love Danny Trejo. That
My
was what
brother
made the
said-
episode in my mind.
My brother said after he saw the episode, he came up to me. He's like, "So Rancors are the pit bulls of the Star Wars universe?" And I'm like, "I guess."
That's funny that you say that. But like,
Yeah, I just think that Rancors are just really, really big bulldogs. Like
yeah.
they have a really stubby face, and they're just big and cute at the same time. It's weird, but they
Also,
also,
I'm
are.
noticing a pattern with you, Jay. Like, there's a whole lot of I don't know. You've got a certain sect of characters that you tend to align yourself with.
What do you mean?
Hmm.
Like what kind of characters? What kind of characters?
I don't know. So far, all I know about you is that you sympathize. You love Wookiees, and now you're like a Rancor sympathizer.
Am I? My favorite character of all time is right behind Hereth over there, but and so I mean
Boba
anything
Fett.
related
Boba
with the
Fett.
guy, I guess so. I guess so. I have no problems with
See,
Wookiees. And
Char-
that
Char-
only
would write a
supports my
Rancor.
original point. My
Char's-
original point, like,
Char's over here like all characters matter.
No.
no, but who wouldn't want to write on a Rancor? Come on.
Rancor, riding the Rancor is gonna be like an interesting thing if they pull it off. But like, what was everybody's thoughts on like the conversation between the twins and the possibility of them? They said it was offered to another syndicate. Like, what are the thoughts? I kind of want to start with M because like this is her girl that we're talking
The
about.
way that I will become the most insufferable person you ever have met and know if Kira ends up showing up in this show.
I'm all here for it.
Yep,
I
support it
will
100%.
lose my mind. I have been out in these streets defending Solo, and the validation of her showing up in the comics again, and then now with all these like, I think they're hints. I think it's interesting how they're going specifically with the Pikes as the other syndicate, and like knowing that kind of connection to Solo, and then also just like the fact that, and also like I know it's might be like oh whatever, but like they specifically mentioning like Kessel. I think that there is a setup for Kira to come and be her best girl boss crime lord self. And I'm ready and prepared for that. If she's the villain, I'm on her side. I don't care. I'm sorry, Boba and Fennec. My alliances will shift immediately if Kira wants to kill you. We gotta go for my girl. I will excuse her actions because
what M just said was she will not be held because of this grotesque misalliance.
Yes. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
And I think it'd just be cool. Like, I genuinely think an expansion on Kira's character in that way would be really cool. And also knowing that her and Boba had the interaction in War of the Bounty Hunters, and also I rewatched Fennec's intro episode, and they mentioned that she had worked for Crimson Dawn. So I think that there's an interesting, like, even personal connection, and to like why Kira, if she doesn't know what's going on, why if she finds out who exactly is involved, that might increase her interest in it, knowing that it's these two bounty hunters that are, you know, pretty good, that they have worked with, that she's worked with and knows what they're capable of. And I think, yeah, I think it's cool. I like the expansion on the crime syndicates because I do think that they're pretty interesting, and I think it's interesting to see how they operate, you know, after the fall of the Empire.
Yeah. But Skakalowski, I don't believe in the glorification of murder. I do, however, believe in the empowerment of women. God, that's a great TikTok sound for sure. But
I did that with Kira.
That's so Vanessa, and she's just so funny. But anybody else's thoughts on that? Because I feel like that is, it's hinting at what we think we're gonna get.
Well, I'm gonna go in a different direction because I know we were predicting what's gonna happen with Black Chrysanthemum. I feel like since Black Chrysanthemum got released during that conversation, I feel like he's gonna kind of shift his views because he's a gun for hire basically at this point. He's an open man. He can go wherever he wants. I feel like he may get hired by the Pikes, and it may be an interesting situation where Boba and Black Chrysanthemum get turned against each other, and then he betrays them.
Ooh,
that would be cool.
That's interesting.
If the Pikes exist in the current format that they do, because the thing is, if the Pikes still existed and still worked for Crimson Dawn in that capacity, why wouldn't they already be there? Why would they let Bib be able to just take over right away the way he did?
Because Bib is whack, and no one wanted Bib to do anything. They didn't even want him to, like, no, even wanted him to, like, you know, MC a party. Like,
no, I'm saying, why didn't Crimson Dawn take him out? Like, Bib is easy marks.
I think it's what the twins said, though. Like, it's kind of like they maybe think of Tatooine as this sort of nowhere planet, and maybe they didn't see Bib as a threat. But now that we've shifted leadership to what, you know, if it is Kira, what Kira would know is two very competent bounty hunters who might be more capable of creating a situation like Jabba, they have a deep interest.
They didn't take him out because they didn't want to create a power vacuum.
Oh yeah,
which is exactly what we ended up with, and it's what we're watching right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I also feel like Bib going to the Pikes angle. I feel like Bib Fortuna is the type of crime leader that you could probably buy off, and like.
I mean, Bib is the tutorial boss in every video game. He's that level of difficulty. But like I do want Crimson Dawn, and I do want Kira to show up. Like, I don't think Kira would show up for more than like 2 or 3 minutes, because I think that would have leaked if she was in there for like 3 episodes or something like that.
Yeah,
I would, like, if she comes in, it'll either be in one of those, like, someone's reporting back to, you know, the boss. You just see, you know, the silhouette and like staring out of a window or something, and then she turns around and you see Emilia Clarke as Kira, or it would be like she's coming down to Tatooine to, like, in person as to Boba to like form a truce, and it's sort of like spoilers for Loki, I guess, but Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains having that conversation with Boba and Fennec. But I do think it's possible that it could be Black Sun that is trying to be this syndicate that's the power, not to eliminate like Crimson Dawn from our hopes and dreams, but to set up as a separate power to Crimson Dawn. They're trying to expand as Crimson Dawn's expanding, as the Empire is no longer there to really keep anyone in check, and the New Republic still getting on its feet. So that could be a thing that Book of Boba eventually leads to, is a crime syndicate civil war type of show.
Ooh,
I
I
have
would
this
love that.
image of Kira, of Boba and Fennec getting back from something in the palace, and you kind of see these shadows, and then it just slowly reveals Kira sitting on Jabba's throne, and then it's a line something like, last I heard you were dead, or like something like that, or it's nice to see you both again. That's been my image of a Kira introduction, and then that's like the end of the episode.
I also feel like, if we're going with the Marvel parallel, I feel like it wouldn't be Loki with the He Who Remains. I feel like it would be more like Kingpin and Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah.
Because like there's like this hidden enemy, but we don't know who's at the top of the game, and we just keep climbing the ladder until we get all the way to the top. And once you get to the top, they reveal it.
No, yeah.
I mean, that's also like a repeat of Daredevil, though. Like, it's the same process that happened in Daredevil, where they were trying to find Kingpin, and then they found him, and it was like, oh snap, hey, what's up? And it was the same dude. So,
yeah, absolutely. Anybody got anything else before we get into the heavy hitter?
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm kidding,
Trey.
but I feel like if Kira, I feel like she will show up. So when she does, I'm already being like 100% about it. But when she does, it's going to be at an end of an episode prior to her being like the big bad. I think it's going to be her walking down a ramp of a ship. Then you see just like a red robe, and then you see like kind of like a bun and like dark brown hair, and then all of a sudden you hear a Pike say, "My lady," because later on she's referred to as Lady Kira. So
I'd love to see her like a shot, like you see like her ring on the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. It's just hearing "my lady," and then you just see like just a nice red velvet robe, and then you oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool.
This is a slight detour, but I kind of want Lando to meet Kira again and be like, "Hey, remember that outfit I gave you? I want it back."
You promised you would clean my cape.
yeah.
There's blood on it.
No, yeah, seriously, that would be funny. All right, so we're gonna get into like the hardest part of the episode, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. I'm glad that we've got a lot of people in here, because I don't have the correct words to really explain like what everybody is feeling, and like it's tough for like it's just a tough situation all around. But I want everybody's perspective on the situation at hand, because on one side people are like, them taking out the Tuskens and the way they did it wasn't proper, and like they basically just made them plot points, and then it even goes deeper than that, and it's a delicate subject to talk about, and that's why I waited till the end to talk about it, because it does hit a lot of harder beats for people, and it has really upset the fandom. So whoever wants to jump in first, go right ahead. This is open forum. Go right ahead.
I'll take this bullet. It's really fascinating on a few levels, and I've been ruminating on it for a while. And I think a huge aspect of it is what I was saying earlier about how this particular franchise bit is making you sort of look at other bits behind it in a different context. Specifically, if you're mad about this, think about the village that Anakin took out. Yeah, they're different, but they're the same. We're empathizing with these people. Why? Because we got the opportunity to learn about their ways and who they are and how they function. But we never had that opportunity with the village that Anakin took out. I'm an Anakin sympathizer, but that sent me to hell on a few levels, because I got to see Boba lose these people he bonded with and helped and like created the synergy with, and then they were wiped out in exactly the same way that Anakin took out that village of Tuskens in Attack of the Clones, in that it happened off screen and we don't know what happened. And unceremoniously. There's also so many other levels we could address this with, but specifically the one that we were faced with was we got just the return to a carcass of a village of people who once were. They slaughtered not only the men, but the women and the children too. We felt that this time. So that's how I feel about that. I feel like it was a very deliberate choice, and it was an excellent choice. And I know a lot of people are mad about it because it really does feel like kind of using these people that we built up as plot points, but also it's kind of not correcting a wrong, but addressing a wrong that happened that we've all just been way too comfy with for a really long time.
Yeah. I'll say first and foremost, I want to say, like, as a white person speaking, that like it's important in this issue in particular that we are listening to Indigenous voices first and foremost, because this is the Tuskens are Indigenous coded. Boba basically calls them Indigenous people in the second episode. Tem himself is Indigenous, so it's important that we're listening to their voices. And I know that even, you know, they have a lot of different opinions on this episode. My gut reaction was I was really upset because I felt like it was so nice to see the Tuskens finally getting the development that they lacked. Finally, as like Nedra said, like we didn't know the Tuskens that Anakin slaughtered. It was just used as a plot point, and it felt like a little bit like sometimes they get treated a little too jokey for me in this fandom when you think about like the fact that they're like, you know, these are supposed to be Indigenous people, and like also the fact that like the Tuskens do fall into generally harmful stereotypes about like Native people and Indigenous people as like savages. And we see that like in, you know, Anakin's I slaughtered them like animals, and like definitely I think Book of Boba makes that more uncomfortable to have to face and to have to think about. My gut reaction was upset because I felt like we're using this to motivate Boba to go after a bite gang that he was already going to go after, and we're once again the Tuskens were being used as, you know, motivation as a point in another person's story. And I understand that. I think in this case I've been, you know, trying to read, like in this case it is different because if you know, Tem being Indigenous himself, this kind of becomes like it's like part of his own story. And it is not inaccurate that we see, you know, Indigenous people being slaughtered, because that happened all the time. It happened here all the time. But it also, I understand, like, you know, Indigenous people see that on screen so much, and they were finally seeing, you know, what is a little bit of representation for them in a different light, and then only to see the next episode for that to be sort of taken away, because I guess we don't know if we'll see other Tuskens. We don't know if any of them survived. I still think if any of them, if some did survive, I still don't think that makes me fully okay with the decision, because, you know, these Tuskens were characters. We had specific characters in this way. Yeah, I don't know. I made a video. I found it upsetting. I know in some ways it is also supposed to be intentionally upsetting that you are supposed to intentionally feel that sadness. I think if they were going to make this decision, which I also don't think they had to do, I think they could have either had Boba leave the Tuskens in another way, or at least let them have more space and room. But I think like it would have been cool if we got to see them fighting back against the Bite Gang. If some of them went with Boba maybe, and we continued to see them travel along with him, or if we had gotten a little bit more time to process what had happened. It felt really weird to me to cut from this super emotional and heavy scene that has semi-real world implications to then an action scene.
Yeah.
And to not really give not only the audience, but Boba the time to process it. I've also seen some opinions on like, Boba has already lost one family. Did we have to make him lose another? like, did we have to show again? And I know that it's Star Wars and that happens a lot, and like a lot of characters lose like multiple, you know, found families and stuff, but it's upsetting and it's intentionally so, but I don't know. I feel so conflicted, you know, as a white person. I don't want to speak over Indigenous voices, and I don't want to like overtake the conversation. So I've been trying to take back, but those were kind of my long form opinions, and I'm sorry if I went on for so long.
No.
Yeah. Speak freely.
No, yeah, I feel the same way. It's like I don't have the right words, and you pretty much just summed up how I felt. Like they didn't. I don't know. Kris or Char or anybody else. Like what?
I can go ahead and because going off of what you said, in terms of the show, I thought they did it very abruptly. I didn't really like that. They gave us about 30 seconds or maybe a minute to process them all perishing and then moving quick to an action scene with Chrysanthemum and Boba. And I knew it was going to happen eventually. I knew that something had to happen to the Tuskens. Like that was a pretty foreseeable event that was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to be executed like that. And I think it's weird because the development of the Tusken Raiders from 1977 till now, they were initially savages that were seen as violent killers, but now we finally get to see them. The first time we see them being actual characters is season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. And that shows that you're able to work with them and they're cooperative and they have similar feelings as to regular humans. Like they're no different from us. And all they want to do is help. And when we see
Y'all
him,
are
see them.
describing American history. I'm sorry, but it's like literally
Yeah.
this is describing American history. This is why
Absolutely.
this wasn't jarring to me. That's why this made perfect sense to me, because this is literally how things have played out with minorities over the history. I don't like getting political because cosplay and stuff is my happy place, my safe place. But like
Yeah.
I'm part indigenous, and like all of this made sense. All of this felt very vindicated. No, the Tuskens were not represented as indigenous people all this time. It has been since Mandalorian that they started sending us on this path of viewing them as people and actually like zeroing in on the sand people part of sand people. Like we kind of have all kind of coasted through this idea that they're these weird alien people who make noises, and we didn't really see them as people until they were presented as people. That's the beauty of storytelling. That's the beauty of being able to, Western audiences often struggle with the complexity of the bad guy making sense and the good guy making sense too. But that's something that we need to get back into. And I feel like that was something that's the goal of all of this, to show that, yeah, like also this village was wiped out, but obviously that's not the end of Tusken. So can we please not all look at all Tuskens under the lens of the ones who did what they did to Shmi? And understand that everyone who looks like that doesn't do the same things and didn't have the same motivations and all of that. And if it felt abrupt, that's how things feel for people who are going through it. It happens so freaking often where something will happen that will affect one specific community, and then it's on to the next in the same freaking day.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. And going off of that, I liked how they established in the show that there are different tribes of Tuskens, and what they do for a living is different from any of the other tribes, because some rely on killing, some just rely on going through their day, finding black melons in the sand, and just working together mutually to continue their lives. It's unique to hear that there's different sides of the Tusken Raiders, because there's, like I said before, they're seen as these violent entities that we were introduced to, but now we get to see them as people that you can live with and just casually be around without them having that side of them that we're always used to seeing. Like going through their way of life with Boba's perspective, I thought it was well executed. I thought it was amazing how he helped them get in touch with like the modern society with teaching them how to ride one of those speeder bikes and like like introducing them to things that they never thought that they were going to do because they were fine on their own, but they had a modern problem. Well, quoting from Dave Chappelle, modern problems require modern solutions. But the Tuscan, I want to see more Tuscans later in the show. We have to. That's not the end of them. We have to see what happened to them, who did it, why, and when. Because Boba left to go talk with the Pikes, and then he comes back, and the whole entire village is just burned. Everything is gone.
Also, remember we had the badass female Tuscan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I don't imagine that she perished there. We didn't see her. We just saw the child. So
I don't think she was in the pile.
Did we see the child though?
We just saw the child.
Yeah, they showed.
Stick.
I thought they panned down to the child. They showed us him.
No, that was the chief. So
Yeah.
I don't think we saw the woman Tuscan or the kid.
I think
So
I think the
that's why
kid.
I'm holding
I
out
think
hope
what
we'll see
Kris
that.
is saying is Boba held up the kid's gaffy stick and he tossed it into the fire. So presumably you'd think that maybe he was one of the fellow victims, but who knows? I didn't see the female Tuscan Raider. I didn't see her at all in that scene, which brings me a little bit of positivity because that was my favorite Tuscan out of the entire group. I liked her more than the child. I liked her more than the kid. I liked her more than every single person in that group. So, and also she's just badass. She taught Boba how to fight. She taught him how to just and she kept on working with him.
Yeah.
How they fought with their gaffy sticks for day and night, and she just kept on going with him.
Also, to just sort of lighten the whole thing, one of my favorite things in the world is that we have moisture formers out here, like literally people drawing vapor from the air to make water, and there's literal freaking concentrated water and black melons.
Yeah, that is true. Kris.
So let's talk. I want to touch on this aspect of this is the space western, and Boba, although Tamora Morrison is indigenous himself, it draws upon that trope of what happened in a lot of westerns where you had the white man who stumbles across the native peoples. He either saves them or they stumble across him while he's hurt on near death. They bring him back to life. He learns their ways. He learns because he learns, oh, these people are not that bad, and it shows the audience, hey, these people are not that bad. And then they either get confronted with Western civilization that wants to wipe them out, and they succeed, and the hero survives and goes back into Western civilization, or they mount a final battle against them and they win, and then the white guy becomes their leader. So when I saw that Boba was staying with the Tuscans after episode 1, I was like, oh, they're going to die, because that's just this trope playing out. And the only other way I can see it not happening is not them all getting wiped out, but a couple of them doing. Boba's like, I'm putting these people in danger. It was me that was, pushing to take out this gang, which escalated events. And these people are not properly prepared to do it. I need to leave to take, to draw the heat away, and then they can come after me, because something has to draw Boba away for him to be able to be roaming the sands of Tatooine to find Fennec, to him going after his armor, because they, he was at peace. He was chilling with those people. He was fine. We don't know how much time was passed, but something had to push him away. And I think when we look back at that trope, we have to look at when that trope was popularized in novels going back to like the 50s and 60s and things like that. And that if if we're gonna re-examine something, let's re-examine that and see how, like, okay, this was written in a time where, you know, people could just like ha ha at stereotypes, and everybody that was upset at those stereotypes voices didn't matter in the rooms of Hollywood, and honestly they still don't, if you ask me. But we're, cultures go through shifts where voices and opinions will be able to heard that have not been heard before. And I do think that the child and the female Tuscan have survived. I don't think that. I think the other way that people may have wanted it to go with the was for Boba to like sort of like unite the Tuscans and make the Great Dune Sea like helpful for them. And I'm like, they're not going to turn him into Asherad Head. So, and we also saw how well that worked out for him. But I think that people have legitimate concerns when it comes to this. One that I don't necessarily agree with, because I don't believe it is exactly fair to make, and granted, I have not seen this criticism from indigenous people. I have seen it from white people that are upset on behalf of indigenous people. It is that you're feeding into the toxic fanboys that wanted the Tuscans to die because of what they did to Shmi. And it's like, okay, how are the writers going to, after they have already made the episode, then like, these people really like these Tuscans and these people don't because of what they did to Anakin. Let's go kill them. Like, no, that's
It's silly.
You're taking it a bit too far.
It was the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why we didn't see them get wiped out is because everything we've seen has had Boba in it, because we're seeing this show from his perspective. So since he was not there, we were not going to see it. And I don't think he should have been there for that, because it'd be one thing if he was in his armor, like he's going to survive that. But at that point, to see how many of them wiped out, unless he's running with the kid and the woman, they're going to survive. Like he's going to die there.
But also bonus points, he was trying to implement his own way of ruling, right? Where he came into these people's lives, upgraded them, introduced them to technology, and was like, all right, I'm going to go get your checks. Bye. And then kind of left them vulnerable to a new level of threat that they have never faced before, because they raised the stakes by having him there, one, and two, by having this new technology that they never had before. And so while he's away playing diplomat, he comes back and realizes that he should have been muscle, because that's what he like thrust upon these people. And beyond that, it's exactly what we got in Attack of the Clones, where we didn't get to see what happened to those people. We got to hear it from our protagonist's perspective, right? And so here we're seeing it how our protagonist is seeing it. We're seeing the aftermath, because that's something he's directly connected to. So like where Shmi was what Anakin was connected to, we got to see him mourning her and dealing with the feeling of not being able to protect her. And we're getting the exact same thing from Boba, where we're seeing him realizing he's unable to protect these people. And not only that, he set them up for this, essentially.
And I think if he was able to find the child and the female Tusken Raider, and we may see this in episode 4, and maybe that's why the cut was so jarring, because maybe they're like, we'll put this in episode 4, is if he finds them and he's just like, this is my fault, I did this to you all, and I feel like that's what is the only thing that could have complete that scene to then go into Kersantin attacking.
To me, from a filmmaking perspective, the whole reason that cut was so jarring is because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to represent how we just move on from things. It's supposed to represent him waking up from a dream, him moving on with his life, and returning to reality when these people are still going through what they're going through. They're still dead. They're still gone. And, we've got our, like, techno action scene going, and then it's just sort of like no, but they're like dead, like know. And I think that's the reality of that. And I think you use cuts in that way. And I feel like they're going to use the back to tank specifically for that a lot, to sort of juxtapose where we are and how we got here a lot. And I think this is the first time Star Wars fans are being asked to just engage with the show like it's an indie film. And everyone just needs to freaking buckle up. I'm in heaven because my comfort film is There Will Be Blood. So so I'm used to like engaging with everything to this extent. But I think they're going to answer all these questions, all this stuff. I have so much faith in Jon Favreau and everything that's happening, but I think there's going to be a lot of discomfort that's going to happen. And especially when you're starting to humanize characters that literally were not pitched as humans the first time you're introduced to them. But
that's like honestly, that's very well said for everybody. Hereth, what you got? Anything to add?
I was again just like and Char. I don't want to like step over people's boundaries because like again, as a white male, I just don't want to step over people's voices and like because I want to highlight everything. But my opinion on it is, I was thinking about what you guys were saying. This was, I feel like this show doesn't handle mourning well as other Star Wars shows. Because when I think about mourning in Star Wars, I always go to Star Wars Rebels. I feel like Rebels handled it perfectly. I think the death should have been at the very, very, very end of the episode. I think they should have saved all of it. I think the flashback should have been more longer, and I think we should have ended with the Tuskens getting wiped out. And then we have an entire episode later where they basically have Boba just mourning what happened and like have him be like blaming himself, being like, I failed them. And then maybe have like a scene like similar to Rebels where he goes to the biker gang and he's about to kill them, but he decides not to at the last second. He's like I'm not going to bring him back type of style scene. And I feel like that would have been the best way to handle it, because like I feel like I get like the idea is like you're supposed to feel like a jar cut from like the death to Black Chrysanthemum. Like you're supposed to feel like you're waking up from a nightmare.
The goal's not to soothe you, though. That's the point. The goal is not to make the audience feel comfortable.
But
and
I think on Hereth's point, if they had ended the episode with it, that also would have been a little jarring to the audience. Like, I also think a drawing cut could have been just straight to the title sequence. And then I think also that being the last thing that happens in the episode would really force people to sit with it and force people to sit with, like, what happened. And also then it's, like, real world reflection.
And we know a certain segment of Star Wars fans don't handle that well.
Yeah.
But I don't want to cut you off if you're not.
Done. No, I'm done on that one. Yeah, I was like, I think if we can learn anything from this, I think maybe regardless of how you feel, it's that this is why diversity matters, not just on screen, but behind the scenes and in the writers' rooms and in the creative process. Because I think it's on screen representation is so important, but I also think it's very important to let people tell their own stories and be involved in it, and also just for like a diversity of perspective. And I do wonder if this would have shifted had maybe we had an Indigenous writer involved. I don't know. I think that's important, and I think it's important to remember, as much as I love both John and Dave, it's important to remember for me that like we should still be pushing for like diversity when it comes to like the writers of Star Wars, and like they are white men, which limits their perspective because they have a certain lived experience and they don't have the lived experience of many other like minority groups. But I mean, overall, I think that like John has done a great job. But like once again, I think it's important to remember that and why diversity matters all around and not just in one aspect of Star Wars, especially as we get more on-screen representation. I would also love to see an increase generally across the shows and projects in behind the scenes. I know we have like Deborah Chow doing Obi-Wan, which is really exciting.
Yes. And Hereth, by the way, she brought it up, I didn't, so that doesn't count for the counter of Kenobi. That one counts because I brought it up, but M brought it up first, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
I do want to respond to one thing that Hereth said about the biker gang, where I do think Boba, if we do see him get them, he is going to wipe them out. But one thing that I thought in my head after processing the episode was that, okay, the first time we see Boba fight people post Return of the Jedi was in The Mandalorian, and he was brutal with the stormtroopers, and brutal in a way that we hadn't really seen in a character do that was not a Sith. And so that makes me think, okay, what if he goes to take out the biker gang? He's just laying them out, and they're like, "It wasn't us, it wasn't us," and he finds out that it was the Imperial remnant.
Oh, that'd be
because that felt personal when he fought them in The Mandalorian. It wasn't just like, I'm gonna blast you, I'm gonna blast you. It was like, no, I'm taking care of you with this gaffy stick. I'm not using a weapon, because Fennec has a weapon. They were on Slave One. He probably had weapons, but
also, we don't actually know it was them.
We don't. Yeah.
Because the painting a symbol is so obvious, you know.
Yeah.
Like
it could have been the Pikes too, trying to like frame them.
Been a fourth entity that's been there to stir chaos between the three this whole time.
Yeah. Well, especially thinking like, I think Pikes is like, if he was having a meeting with the Pikes and the Pikes were like, go to the camp now, that would be,
makes
or
a
if they hired someone else out, if it's not them themselves, like kind of like what you're saying, like this fourth entity that is maybe working as like a hired kind of, we're on whatever side gives us money type of situation.
Oh yeah.
And also now the man was riding a bantha. I mean, a rank. Yeah, he's riding a bantha. Like, so how? Like, that took how long? So anything could have happened in that little chunk of time where he was riding his little champion. Oh,
what happened to his bantha? I know he left Tatooine, but I would like to see his bantha again.
Yeah, I got bored and started a YouTube channel.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And that's the main reason why I love Star Wars too, because it's like Star Wars, it has representation, it has diversity, it has paying homage to historical events and cultures, and that's why I just love Star Wars. It's just, whether if it's an emotional scene, if it's an uplifting scene, it's something that resonates with you. It always like, wait, Luke?
No, hold on. Okay, for y'all that were here earlier, remember when
Vanessa
said the same
said that,
exact thing? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Char. I broke into your soliloquy. Go ahead.
No, yeah, Star Wars is like paying homage, respect to ancient history, cultures, and events that have taken place by using visual mediums to showcase what it's like to be a part of it, like to visually see chaos, turmoil, sadness, corruption, all of that, all condensed into one franchise. And from what I got from this episode, there were so many different tones. Like, first you were feeling happy. First you were feeling like you wanted to get revenge because of the mayor and the major domo. Then you felt sad because of the Tuscans, and then you felt like you were on the edge of your seat with the Crescent and Boba fight. There were so many different tones in the third episode, and it was just, it's interesting because a lot of the times, like, you like to understand like a movie and what it's trying to showcase, you have to understand the tone, and sometimes the tone doesn't give you enough context as to how you should feel. Like, so like me, I'm not too big of a prequel guy. It's my favorite era of Star Wars. But some of the times in the movies, like, you don't really understand like how you should feel, because a lot of it's like when you're sitting in the Jedi Council room, like say in episode 1, when Qui-Gon's telling him like, I have encountered a divergence in the Force. Like, how, like, are you just like, what are you feeling? Are you just sitting there and there's no, like, how can you're not excited? You're not, what tone should you feel? But
so Char, as like, so like from a film person perspective, right? What you want, ideally, is to guide people's feelings through this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so something that I've noticed consistently is that for men, cis men, I'm going to get real binary with this, so everyone just bear with
go
me.
ahead. Go
ahead.
All here for it.
So for men, typically, when you're trying to illustrate an absolute devastation to the point of dropping the entire identity and becoming single focused on something, there's roughly 3 things that tend to lead to that, right? That's like the death of a child, a partner, or like some woman that they were supposed to protect, or yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much just killing some woman or child that's really close to them. And something that sent me to the freaking moon about Book of Boba Fett is they tapped into this other element that is very underexplored, and that is psychedelic experiences. Like, I remember someone saying that men do psychedelics and realize, oh, like empathy is a thing. And Book of Boba Fett actually tapped into that. And that is one of the first times I could think of that's been used as the needle like drop for like their whole journey into being this empathetic, I'm going to kill for the things that I love and I want to make a better space for the people who are down for me kind of thing. And I think that's super important. And I think that's so slept on. It kind of stresses me out because that's one of the things that sets this show apart for me. Seeing him go on that psychedelic journey, seeing him see all these things, come back to these people, and then kind of like revert back to his natural state, and then have that part backfire is the real message to me. Because he was given the answer, but he decided he wanted to defer to like, no, but like we could get money for you guys. We could get so many more speeder bikes for you guys. And then it led to everyone getting absolutely washed. I don't know. That's still a thing I'm unpacking. I have a part 2 video I need to work on, but that's a thing that I arrived at. And I think that's kind of important to examine, not to even like bring it back to this imperialist view of things. Like we come back and you say like, oh, hey, see, I'm saving you guys and I'm bringing you technology. But then this sort of ended up being the road to nowhere. I like to examine the fact that like this was for Boba Fett in terms of progression. The psychedelic experience was what made him what people are complaining about. The soft man who wants to rule with respect rather than fear.
Wow. Yeah.
Well said. Well said, Nedra.
Wow. See, this is why I just sat back and just because like everything that I was feeling, like everybody just was so much better at saying what they wanted to say, and I agree 110%. But guys, I think that's a great place to end off on this conversation. Real quick, I want to
Did you just drop the mic?
Yeah, you did drop the mic.
I just saw this.
Yeah, that was a tiny planet.
Oh yeah.
I was like, well done, respectable.
Of Thrawn's Death Star, baby.
So I want to talk about Brooke. She has an Etsy shop. If you haven't heard about it, Far Away Factory.
Pull it up, Luke.
She does amazing things. She goes and does shoes. She does jackets. For those that are looking for a Padme jacket, she's got one in stock. It's legit. I've seen it. It's really awesome. And she just does amazing work. So go find her on TikTok at B_Dazzler, and Instagram at Far Away Factory. And I think it's the same. Her other account is _B_Dazzler. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brooke, in the chat. Your other Instagram, but guys, definitely go check her out. She does amazing work. M's got earrings. She Lego earrings. But yeah, exactly. So Brooke does amazing work on the side. Go check her stuff out if you're looking for new merch. And but one question, it's gonna be the last question going around. What do we think we're gonna see in chapter 4? What do we want to see? What do we think? And then where can we find you? And again, thank you everybody for being on this panel. And everybody in the chat. So I'm gonna start. Let's start with
start with Kris.
I was just thinking Kris.
Hey, Diane moment.
Yeah,
No.
So honestly, I don't have any expectations or wants for the next episode. I'm kind of just going into it sort of blind of what I want, and I think that's working out well for me. Besides maybe the Green Ranger coming in and kicking the crap out of the kids, and then they all sit together in detention. Boba sits them down and he's like, "Now listen, son, don't do that."
Or he's like Hannibal Buress from Homecoming. Just sits there and goes, "Watch the video."
I mean, or is Boba the Green Ranger?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So other than that, and besides, maybe Kira at the end of the series, but yeah, you can find me on TikTok, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram at Star Wars Lawyer, all one word. You can find me on Twitter at Kris_SWL. That's KRIS, not CHRIS or QRIS or any other variation. KRIS. Yeah, and that's me.
I'll go with Hereth.
Hi, you can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok and on YouTube at They Fly Now Show. I host a podcast with Cartoon who sadly couldn't make it for this episode every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We talk about certain set topics every week. This week we're talking about Leia and like her entire journey from start to finish. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. And yeah, besides that, I'm just gonna get back the word to everyone else so they can plug their stuff.
I forgot one thing. I must apologize. I forgot my podcast, Too Black, Too Nerdy.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts.
Yep, absolutely. And then I'll go. Let's go M, and then Nedra to finish it off.
Yeah, I don't know if I have like a lot of. I think what we're saying, like, I just want to see Boba process what happened to the Tuskens. I'd love to see Cobb Vanth eventually. I'm really holding out for my man to make another appearance. I think it would be funny to see him and Boba interact, knowing like, or just like having Cobb Vanth and like seeing the armor and being like, oh shit, he's coming. He's come for me. And then yeah, eventually Kira. I also think it'd be cool if we got some additional bounty hunters, maybe from the comics. But yeah, besides that, and then eventually the cool like sky battle that we've seen in some of the trailers, I feel like that's like has to maybe be coming up soon-ish. Yeah, then you can find me on TikTok at StardustM, and then on Twitter at _StardustM, and sometimes on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nedra?
Yeah, let's go. So yeah. I'm an Ahsoka Tano cosplayer, a film school dropout, and that's one of the reasons why I go so weirdly in depth about some of this stuff. I'm dropping my first video by the end of the snowstorm, I guess for everyone else, the weekend. And so it's going to be me talking. I don't believe I'll keep it under an hour about the first 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, and like the kind of like larger implications it has for the rest of the things that are caught on film. And that's what I do. I look like Ahsoka sometimes, but my happy place is just kind of talking about weird niche choices that were made. What I'm looking forward to in the next few episodes is just being floored again. I did not expect this to be the character study that it is. And it has turned into some real art house type shit. If you have ever been, if you've ever approached a Star Wars thing from the perspective of like art house, this is character driven stuff, it hits so different. And I think that's where so many people are missing out because they're approaching it as one dimensional Star Wars stuff. And they should really look at this as like, let's pick apart all these characters and figure out why they're here and what's happening and why. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening with these characters. And I just sort of wish I didn't feel like a crazy person yelling at a cloud at 4 a.m. all the time.
Oh, trust me, I'm there even after the episode. We get done doing the reactions and just like, I'm like, not yelling, but I'm in like my apartment just being like, why do I have to wait another week for this? But yeah.
You guys, I feel like all of this has started off as a monster of the week sort of situation because each of those monsters is converted into a new member of Boba's squad.
Yeah.
And then it's building up to our sort of big bad that's coming further down the line. Remember when the twins were supposed to be a foe and they were like, actually, just kidding, we're leaving. And if anyone who's looking at the show from a one-dimensional perspective think, oh, that's so whack, why are they just leaving now? But that's to build up to what's to come. I'm obsessed with what they're doing with this, and I can't stop. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
And I'm really thrilled that I may have the opportunity to be there next week.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's literally, it sounds like this. Here's spoiler. Like,
it's gonna be
relevant song.
It's gonna be great. I cannot wait. Char, round her out. Where can we find you? Expectations, because we know you're the Boba Stan besides Brooke here in the chat.
Oh, and also, Nedra, you forgot to give yourself your shout out.
Oh yeah,
where we can find you.
Where can we find you on socials?
Oh yeah, I'm Nedra Loves Cosplay everywhere except for Twitter because they have a character limit and it's new. I haven't used it, but it's Nedra Loves Jedi on Twitter. But it's Nedra Loves Cosplay everywhere else.
Go follow her.
Char.
Yeah, so going off of what Em said, I would like to see Cobb Vanth in the show. And the cool thing is too, from the Aftermath trilogy, Malakili, the former Rancor keeper from Return of the Jedi, is with Cobb Vanth at this time. So we could, since we got introduced to another Rancor, maybe we'll see Malakili if we do see Cobb Vanth. So that's another cool prediction that I would like to see. I feel like we're going to get more of the Pike Syndicate. We're going to see the mayor again, and he's going to be up to some more shenanigans. And because it ended off with them catching the Major Domo, and Mok Shaiz is doing something else. So we're going to find out what he's doing. And yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. And where you can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at CharCharJ, and you can find me here every Wednesday morning for the live reaction for the Book of Boba Fett. You can find me here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for our Clone Wars rewatch reviews. And you can find us here every Friday at, is it 7 o'clock again? 7 Central Time? 7 Central Time here to have a roundtable discussion about the Book of Boba Fett.
Man, guys, this one was a great discussion, and I'm so thankful for everybody here in jumping in and giving your thoughts and stuff, and I really appreciate you guys coming out in the chat as well. But you guys can follow me at the Pod Ones Podcast, at Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, at Pod Ones on Twitter. Same with Char. You can find us 1:30 Central Standard Time, watching the episode as it drops next week, and from here on out, I mean, we'll be doing it for Obi-Wan. And let me tell you, if you think Nedra going through and being like looking at things for this show is bad, don't want to talk to me when every episode for that because I'll be losing my damn mind.
Yeah, Luke, I think I
Absolute
might have to
shambles.
send you. I might have to send you like your own glass box, so
No,
you
yeah,
can
I'll
just
have
like
to
yell at yourself.
We'll just
and
put
just-
it here while we're watching the reaction so that I'm only hearing myself.
so I don't have to
'Cause
hear
I'll
you
be
bawling
screaming
your
the
eyes out
entire
and
time.
screaming and yelling.
This
And
is literally just practice for Ahsoka, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Right.
Cannot
It's just
wait.
like just imagine M during Andor, Nidra during Ahsoka, me during Lando.
Yeah,
Oh,
Think
and-
during
yeah.
Ahsoka as well with Thrawn going
Oh.
up. I'm gonna be a menace to society.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, launch into the stratosphere. That's been my no, literally, like you were saying, no, I'm in the same space. I love Thrawn and Ahsoka, and if they're gonna be adversaries, I'm gonna be shambles because I love them very much for different reasons, and I can't, and I refuse. So I'm here for let's do Lando, Obi-Wan, everyone else.
We know nothing about Lando. Lando's coming like the absolute last. We know nothing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We
No,
know
yeah.
we know the showrunner. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We don't even know which Lando it is.
Exactly.
Really
we
deep.
don't even know. We don't even know if Donald Glover's coming back.
Let's put up Lando in the classic blue. Well, okay, so it's like a mixture when you look at the logo. It's like a mixture of Donald Glover and
Billy D.
and Billy D. So maybe it's a mixture of both, but
I
I
would
think
do
it'd be cool to have Billy D narrate, and it's like a young Lando.
oh, that'd be cool.
I
We could
think
do
they
it-
should do it Arrow style.
You could do
You know.
Book of Boba Fett style too,
Yeah.
where you have some dips back into history. I am
Yep.
choking this poor man out.
Poor Wicket. What are you doing,
Yeah, Wicked Woo is having a bad time. Let me tell you.
Mr. Warwick? Are you okay?
Fine for his life, but no, we could have like flashbacks to like Don Glover, and then we could have our king. Our-
Lando is telling these stories to Janna, his daughter, passing on the mantle. The series ends. The next season is called Calrissian, starring Janna. There you go.
And do we find out the Calrissian Chronicles?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I need
those
more
are the
L3
Calrissian
Those
Chronicles.
are the back. That's the
That's the
flashbacks to
backstories.
Calrissian.
Ah. Oh, my
I'd love
goodness.
if they do if the Solo they do it as a joke where he skips over it because he doesn't want to remember what happened. He deletes it. It's you at the beginning of the episode. We start to hear the narration from the Solo, and then he deletes it.
He's like, wait, we're not gonna talk about that, Janna.
No,
That's him and Janna
He's
no,
like,
we're not talking
skip.
about that.
Yep. That didn't happen. But guys, I appreciate you all being here. And as always, for Light and for Life, we are all the Republic. Char.
And may the force be with you always. Thank you guys.
Ride the storm.
There are
Tempest
more of
Runner.
us.
Wow, that just got hectic real quick. Goodbye.
I had to use a Nile.